Hi guys, welcome back. So today I wanted to discuss about something more, um, a real experience that I went through, and this will explain more for uh, recruiters that are trying to understand recruiting and what it really is, the ins and outs of recruiting, and what it really means to recruit. So, I, because of my experience of 10 plus years of working in talent acquisition and HR, whether it's a corporate or non corporate world, working for Fortune 500 companies, and I do have an MBA as well, with a specialization in human resources management. So my education, my experience allows me to speak on this topic and a lot of other topics, just in case this is your first time uh, watching one of my videos. But um, want to expand a little bit about what happened. So I recently was working with a company that I was hired on, and they needed a help as a recruiter. And this was a completely new industry, which by or for the most part, it always is. I like to take on new challenges. I am a chameleon. I can adapt, and I just love learning new, processes and different industries, right? And how to work those new industries. So I love the challenge, and it kind of like keeps me going as a passionate recruiter. But I was hired on a company with a recruiter who believed that they knew more than I did. Okay, they functioned. They had a bit huge liking. The manager loved and trusted this particular recruiter, and this recruiter hadn't been there for too long, right? In addition to that, the recruiter, who seemed to know more than me, um, definitely had just been there for not that long, right? So I was hired on board just to help them out to identify different ways to attract, strategize, in other words, to find more and quality talent. And so with that, I saw some things that could have improved within uh, their system of recruiting. And I mentioned that it would be good to have Indeed. Uh, LinkedIn is good, but LinkedIn is not as resourceful as Indeed. We all know that Indeed is a live uh, feed of candidates because they're looking for a job, they're wanting to start now, they're very hungry to start. And this terminology, if you're not a recruiter, if you're just starting new, you're really not going to understand what I'm talking about. You kind of have to have already been working for different companies and kind of understand what I'm saying. But nevertheless, the LinkedIn recruiter uh, that they had a seat for me, I did mention to them that this is not going to be feasible for those particular roles that we were hiring. And um, given it was more like a not an entry level, it's more like a mid level role, not a higher. So I'm used to hiring for all, but I can tell what will work and not, right? What system will be a lot better. And indeed, it helped, and it was very successful, right? So in that, we they loved my work ethic and they enjoyed me as a worker, right? And they were excited to have me there. Um, I we were in meetings, and the recruiter seemed to, because again they have a relationship with the manager, and I'm gonna talk about, again, I'm not gonna name names and I'm not gonna name company names, so I'm trying to watch what I'm saying because I don't like to do that and I won't do that, right? It's not who I am and who I want to be. I'm gonna be very confidential because of the fact that I was given the blessing. Remember, I see everything as a blessing, even though um, it doesn't last long, right? I am out. You should. That's the way you should look at it, because that way, when the day comes that you're no longer there, someone is not is challenging you or wanting to, attack you for things that are not truthful, will happen, right? Because we live in a world that people, for some reason, want to prove a point. One of the things about me is that facts speak more than anything else, right? So what happened with this situation was I had to make a lot of phone calls, and which I'm not afraid to, right? As a recruiter, that's part of our job, is to reach out and make contact with people, right? That's just what we do. But I wasn't used to the volume that they were recruiting, right? This volume was like surpasses any previous job or staffing company that I've worked for, right? So I did what I needed to do and I made my calls, and like I said, every company that I work for, I make a point to overly deliver, right? Succeed, because my performance will never be in question, right? And that's what you should do. If you're starting as a recruiter, you should allow your performance to speak, not back and forths and what this and what that. It's what isn't, their beliefs, right? Even if they don't have experience, right? They haven't been in certain situations that I have been in. Anyway, but I always deal with this with respect when it comes to talking to the my colleagues, right? I allow feedback, constructive criticism, right? I'll allow it to happen. I will not sit there, but I will also um, respond in an intelligent manner, right? Um, and sometimes you should not respond. There's many times where I chose to just stay quiet, and it's a reason for that. There's also a strategy for that. You don't always have to speak on everything and prove your point to everyone, right? There's certain situations and scenarios. For example, you know that this individual has the hiring manager, the manager's backing, right? Which happens a lot to us as recruiters, and just you as an employee, right? This happens every day. Nothing new. It's been going on for, I guess, since we started working, right? But and it's not going to end, because when you're dealing with people, you're dealing with emotions, right? So I was questioned about, when I reached out to a candidate, I would explain myself to the candidate and ask them in a way if they are interested in the job, if they see themselves doing the job, which is basics of recruiting, right? That's recruiting 101. That's something you have to do, because recruiting is a sales job. I don't care what you say. Recruiting is a sales job. Because let me tell you, let me put it like this. If you don't hire an X amount of people on X amount of time frame, what happens? You're going to get in trouble. You might not get a bonus. You might get written up. Again, recruiting is sales. And of course, the individual blasted me in front of the manager and belittled me by saying that what I was trying to do is incorrect, because her explanation is that, oh, they applied. Let me leave you. I can't even think. Like, some of these things I just want to laugh, right? For the most part. But I kind of had to teach myself to control myself professionally. So yeah, it's challenging for the most part. But again, the person insisted on letting me know that this is that I was trying to that I shouldn't have been convincing a candidate to come to work for us, because her she explanation was that explanation was to tell me that if they already applied to Indeed, that means they're interested already, meaning that they want the job. And I did let her know in the back end, because we had that discussion in the back end. She or he. I let her know in the he. Sorry. I let this person know in the back end. We already had a discussion about this. But when you see someone that is trying to constantly bring something up, someone that is constantly, and I'm going to speak about a lot of things that have happened to me, because I noticed that I can talk about topics that, are black and white, right? Things that, systems, or the interview process, or certain things like that. But if I speak about my actual events, my real life experience events, I think that would coincide with you guys, because I know you guys are all struggling. I struggle. No one is immune to what's going to happen in the workforce. No one. Even your kids, your grandkids, they're, it's never going to end, because you're working for someone. But anyway, so with that being said, in the back end, I like to talk one-on-one, let's debate about a topic, because it should never go to the manager right away, because I don't run to my managers for everything, because I respect my manager's time, for one, and two, as colleagues, as collaborative colleagues that we are, we should be able to circumvent and come with a solution together. But if you're working against each other, there will never be results. So the whole back and forth and going to tattletale to the manager that likes this individual. Who do you think this manager is going to listen to? Even though I'm delivering, even though I have a great attitude, I come in early, I don't call in. Who do you think the manager is going to have a preference over? Yes, the person they like. Fortunately, there's a lot of biases that we need to break. HR needs to identify, and part of me being in HR, we need to start identifying these managers and these co-workers that are having a friendship, because it eliminates successful people from keeping their job. And it's not fair. But guess what? Life is not fair. So I understand that. But I just hope that as time goes by, we will. I believe that this will change. Even this video, pushing it out there, even if it just touches one person. Because my story could relate to yours, or can help you one way or another. One of the things that this would do is make you understand, hey, calm down, relax, stay cool, calm, and collected. I always remember that. Stay cool, calm, and collected always when something like this happens. You have no choice. Because if you blow up, whose fault is that going to be? Yours, not theirs. But again, we had a lot of topics to debate because this individual did not understand a certain communication. And I'm not gonna, this person was not great at communicating. This person didn't even understand the roles. Okay. And I had just gotten there, and I tried my best to learn these difficult roles that I was getting myself to learn, right? Because I love these new challenges. And I even understood more. When I talk to candidates, I always emphasize the job that they're going to be doing, what they're potentially going to make it in money wise, where the location is at. Are you ready? Are you willing to take this? Are you this is where what is the ins and outs? This is what the hiring manager is looking for or wanting to see, or whatever the case is. You have to be honest with the candidate. And I noticed that there's a lot of recruiters that are not honest with candidates. That they just see them as some kind of, number on a spreadsheet, and that's not fair. They're humans. They need to know all the information before they make a life-changing decision. What if they have to move? What if they have family? What if they're going to take a lesser pay? I mean, there's so much that goes into getting a job. What if they're going to get into a company or an industry that they never thought that they wanted, and they're scared? But nobody wants to explain it. Okay? But it's my job to explain it, because I don't want to hire candidates that will feel lost when I hire them. When I hire them, they're going to know that they want to work at the company and that the company wants them there. Does that make sense? It's a give and take. The company wants you, and you want the company. Not just that the company wants you, or or maybe the company doesn't want you, or the employee wants the potential employee wants to work there. It has to be a match. It has to be a match. All this whole thing about the fit, are you a fit with our company? It's not a fit. It's, are we a match? Anyway, so this person said and tried to bring me down in many ways. you're not in front of the manager. Okay, this is when we were in front of the manager because we had already discussed a lot of topics back and forth. We were discussing, and it wasn't. I wasn't trying to argue with this person. I was trying to explain to the person how recruiting works, how talent acquisition works, how HR functions. And the person was lost as can be. Now, if the person is lost, the manager has complete faith in this person. And I'm having discussions with the person in a professional manner so we can get on the same page and make these numbers happen for the company, because I was hired to do that, to strategize, to collaborate. And guess what? I was also helping the person there. The manager had told me that they needed someone to help her. This was a one-on-one conversation. As a matter of fact, she knew that as well, because this individual kept just kind of like a balloon, right? With helium, here, there, everywhere, and all at the same time, nowhere. But guess what? I let the person be. I don't like to judge people. I'm going to do all in my power to help us be successful. That's all I wanted to do. But when we went into the office in the conference room, the person told me that I didn't know how to recruit. Can you believe that? Someone who had no experience before that person got there because someone knew her. Or him, sorry. It's just, and that sales is not recruiting, sales is recruiting. And you know what? I just stayed quiet because I was shocked. Because if you look up recruiting, sales is recruiting. Any company you work for. I'm sorry to tell you that. Because a candidate applies to the company doesn't mean that they want to work there. Because guess what? Bakers are applying. You get what I'm saying? Bakers are applying to that job. Does that mean they're going to work there? No. This person did not understand anything. And I tried to help. But this person was just too gone for me to help. And I still tried. But when that person made that, well, you don't need to force them to work here. You don't need to, over-explain to them everything about the job. The person didn't even explain anything to these candidates. That's bad. That's poor service. That's a poor way to have people work at a company. They don't know anything. And guess what they did? The employees would come and say, I don't even know what I'm here for. Exactly. But to tell you, I'm not going to get too in depth with that one, but I wanted to share that experience because it just shocks me. Like, wow, really? Is this really happening? My experience is being challenged. It's being questioned. When I'm there and I'm delivering it, and you're looking for anything to bring me down? No. I'm going to speak about what happened, remember? But you will never know my name. You will never know which company. And I leave it at that. Is it a he or she? You don't know that. And I might have said she, and it could be a he. But guess what? I will never say a name, nor will I ever say a company name. And I'm kind of trying to stay away from the industry of what exactly it was. Because again, I want to just help y'all understand that these things are going to happen. You're going to work with people that have the backing of the manager. You will be more experienced, and your experience will be questioned. And when that individual questioned me, I really did wanted to say more things to that. Really, because I had a lot of things to tell that person. Had a lot of things to say. A lot of facts. But I chose to just say, well, I've always been successful. Don't allow anyone. The ending of this is don't allow anyone. When you know what you've contributed to these jobs, everything you have on your plate that you worked hard for, how disrespectful, how dare you is what I needed to say. And other words I needed to say. But sometimes, if you just be quiet, guess what? Things will work out, even if it doesn't work out there. Eventually, you will find somewhere you belong, where they deserve to have you. I don't want to say where you belong, where you deserve to be at, because I'm tired of everyone feeling like they need to belong, or companies, or candidates feeling like they need to belong somewhere where they're not embraced. You belong somewhere great. Remember that. This is 2025. I could only imagine my grandma, what she had to go through at her job. My mom has shared stories with me about her issues at work. And my mom has been, she worked as a house cleaner, housekeeping for Marriott. And I'm not afraid to say it. And Marriott, one of those two. Trying to figure out the right pronunciation. But again, guys, everyone is going to be affected by this. Even my own kids go through this, right? And I always try to help them, because that's who I am. I'm someone that doesn't like to see others bring you down, or myself, because guess what? I don't bring others down. The only thing that I'm guilty of is proving myself, proving my facts. That's all. But sometimes you just need to be quiet, because it's not worth it. Okay? Remember to stay cool, calm, and collected when this happens to you. I've learned a lot along the way, how to have more of an emotional intelligence to all of this. So I'm glad for the bad. If you don't experience bad things, do you really think you're gonna learn? No, you're not. You're not gonna grow. No matter what happens. If they throw you out, if they kick you out, if they call the cops on you, the police. The bad will teach you more than the good will. Remember that. This is like a long video. I think I'm going on. This is probably my longest video, so I'm gonna cut it here. All right, guys, please subscribe, share this video with anybody that you feel like. But that will benefit from it. And then please subscribe also. I'm gonna continue to speak on, my experiences because I do believe this is gonna be hot topics that you guys will find helpful. Okay, than me talking about. I would talk about black and white things about how this works, or remember, working in HR it's not easy. Working in talent acquisition is not easy because I have to produce. I'm not afraid to produce though. That's the thing. It is who I am. Everyone is not made to be in a certain career, certain job. It's fine. I just happen to know what I am great at, and the buck doesn't stop there. There could be other careers, different careers. Remember, I worked in banking, but I decided to move into this, and I don't regret it. I've had a lot of challenges, a lot of bad stories, because nothing is perfect. But I will never, ever, ever talk about the names or the companies. And I would try to stay away from the industry if I could. Okay? But anyway, please just hang in there and keep fighting. Y'all have a good one.